Hi, welcome to the I Am Enough podcast. This is your your one and only Kaylee, and I want to just go ahead and say thank you for listening. I know I say this every episode, but it definitely does take me a bit of time to get back into creating new episodes. For those of you who have been listening and aware of the season of life I'm in right now, I am currently expecting my first child, and I'm very excited about it. I am 38 weeks pregnant and one day, and I have been told that she will definitely be here early. Her due date is November the 9th, and my husband and I are just so overwhelmed with joy and just so much excitement at just the idea that we're having a girl, and we really wanted a girl. Honestly, we would have been grateful for a boy too, but it was just kind of like extra special that we both found out we were having a girl on our gender reveal. But with that being said, I wanted to just take some time to just share a little bit about the whole journey, the journey that I've gone through as I have been pregnant for 9 months and my first pregnancy. I am 27 years old, and can you believe it? I actually forgot how old I was not too long ago. That's called pregnancy brain for you. But I just turned 27, and this is definitely something I've been wanting. I've always wanted to be a mom, and the desire did not start building up until I started working at a school. And I am currently a full-time music teacher, and there are a lot of babies and little toddlers in the nursery at the school I work at. So the desire really started my second year when I would go to the nursery a lot and hang out with my friend and just see just how precious these little souls are. And I prayed about it and gave it up to the Lord and talked to my husband about this desire that just never would go away. And the Lord blessed us when we found out we were pregnant this February. Just really answered my prayer to, if it was in His will for it to take place this year, it would happen. But I think when we do pray those prayers and we do receive the blessing, it is definitely a testimony to God listening to our prayers, and we can have reassurance that what we prayed for was not a mistake. And this also goes for, my husband and our marriage. I prayed very much so for him, and the Lord provided. And if you're single out there and you're not married, you don't have a ring on your finger, and you're building up with desire for a spouse and for someone you can have children with in marriage, don't lose hope, because the Lord, He knows your heart, and He may not give you what you want, but He's going to give you what you need in every season. And what I have found is that in every season, God is preparing us for the next. So if you're in a season right now where you are on social media and you see all your friends getting engaged, getting married, getting pregnant, whatever it be, you are not alone. Trust me, there's so many people out there, including myself. I was one of those people. I was single for a while, and it was definitely really hard on my heart, but the Lord was preparing me for where I'm at right now. And I am married to a youth pastor, and I'm also involved in ministry at my school and just ministry in general. And I do believe the Lord was preparing me for some uneasy and difficult things, such as ministry. Ministry is a blessing, but it is not easy. And so with that being said as well, I'm just encouraging you to continue listening to this episode, even if it doesn't really apply to your current season of life. I feel like the Lord can speak to us through anything, really, if we keep our ears open and our hearts open and to receive what he has to say to us. Well, the primary purpose of this episode is to share the Lord's healing in my life over the course of this pregnancy. I just really felt inspired and encouraged after listening to another podcast episode. It's been a while, and I do believe that one of the biggest reasons I don't always upload episodes is because sometimes it's hard to know, like, if it's making an impact in anyone's lives. And it is very encouraging for me to know who is being touched by these episodes and who's getting anything from them, because it really does motivate me. So please feel free to find me on Instagram at I Am Enough Podcast, Kaylee Anna, A-N-N-A, on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. You can instant message me and just let me know how these episodes are encouraging you. But I wanted to just share that pregnancy has not been easy, but it's also been so healing in many ways. And I actually have struggled with anxiety for most of my adult life. If you have listened to my other episodes, you would hear that from my previous episodes, that anxiety has been a reoccurring struggle in my life. And not just that, but I struggled with an eating disorder when I was 16, and it has carried throughout my adult life. However, the past 4 or 5 years, I mean, really ever since I got engaged to my spouse, the Lord has really healed me, but it's still something that I think about. Food and body image are very, it's a touchy subject for me, because I have gone through a lot of healing, but if you have struggled with a body image disorder or eating disorder, it's usually not going to go away. Also, I apologize. I'm walking outside. If you hear any loud vehicles like one I just heard, and I'm not saying that because I'm not saying it's not going to go away, but the thoughts, like the controlling thoughts, like counting calories, always, weighing yourself, like those kind of tendencies tend to come back, and sometimes they'll go away and then they come back. It's like a cycle, and I definitely rebuke it in the Lord's name. Like, I do not want that to be a struggle if you do struggle with it, but it is something I have struggled with off and on throughout my life. So with being pregnant, it started off, super excited. First trimester was tough with nausea. I also was just super exhausted, and going to work was really hard, and I was really not motivated. And I just wanted to get really quickly through the first trimester, because I heard once you get through the first trimester, it gets a little easier. So I would say I was mostly really depressed and just defeated in the first trimester. I felt very alone, because I had spent a good bit of time keeping this pregnancy to myself before announcing it. And it was probably about maybe 5 or 6 weeks when I did announce it, because I really felt like I was alone, and I needed to share why I was not feeling well and why I was feeling a bit nervous and excited, a bit anxious, because this is definitely a big change in my life. So once I did announce that I was pregnant to my coworkers, to everybody at my church, on social media, I felt a lot more at peace. But there was a little bit of, I would say, lingering depressiveness. I wouldn't say I was clinically depressed, but I think it was just also my body changing and going through all the changes. And once I got through the first trimester, the second trimester was a lot more energized. I had a lot more energy. I love running, and I was running a lot still, and running was really helping me go through the just helping me stay active, but also like being in tune with my body, because I feel like a lot of times when we get pregnant as women, we kind of feel like we're not ourselves anymore, and our bodies are changing. And so running was just kind of always my go-to, helping me feel still myself, even though I had good days and I had not so good days with that. I definitely encourage staying active while you're pregnant, because it will help you in the long run. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm just being real that I have not ran. I have not gone to the gym in probably 4 months, but that's because the gym was just too hot for me and I was feeling overheated and I was overdoing it, honestly. Like, I would go to the gym, I would do exercises that were not good for my body, and I would feel horrible after, and it was because I was pushing myself too much to reserve my body, with, the whole body image insecurity issue that I have struggled with. So I decided, I think I should stop doing this. I want to focus on not harming my body and also making sure my baby is healthy. And so I started walking, and I would walk all the time. I'm still currently walking, and my blood pressure's been really good. I've been mostly physically well. I mean, of course, I have my good days and I have my not so good days. Don't get me wrong. As I'm speaking, I'm currently walking like an old woman and my back really hurts. And I don't want you to think I'm just like this crazy, workout-holic woman in her later pregnancy. No, definitely not. And do not compare yourself to other women on like TikTok or Instagram who are like doing crazy gym workouts. Like, you know your body, you know what you can do. And if you're pushing yourself, you also know that you're pushing your baby. So you need to be really mindful of like what's too much and what may be not enough. And I'm so going on a tangent right now. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to be an exercise coach. I'm supposed to be just sharing my story. So let's go back on track. So after second trimester, I would say it was towards the end, I started really feeling very insecure about my body. I felt swollen, like not in my ankles or my face or whatever, but just my stomach. And I would have a hard time allowing myself to eat enough sometimes, just because, counting calories and trying really hard not to gain a ton of weight during my pregnancy. And I have managed my weight, but I still don't feel like I fully accepted the fact that I was, I'm not only feeding myself, but I'm feeding a little baby inside of me. And I'm not saying I starved myself, but I was just very careful. And of course I had my weekends and my days when I would just devour a cheesecake slice or, eat brownies and ice cream. I think there was a week when I literally had brownies and ice cream almost every single day. And I would get in those ruts where I'd eat a dessert and then eat the next day and then eat the next day. So, like I said, I was, not perfect. I'm not perfect. But I was also very like, all right, if I eat this, then I need to exercise. I need to go walk 3 miles. So I burn all of it off. So that's definitely not a healthy mentality to have, especially when you're pregnant. So if you are struggling with that mentality and you are pregnant, please go see a counselor. I'm not a counselor. I'm not certified, but I'm just coming from off my own struggles and my own experience being pregnant and having had struggled with an eating disorder in the past. So the third trimester comes around. I had COVID. I also have an episode or two about this. I got COVID very close to the beginning of my third trimester, right before the school years, or after summer break. And I was really struggling physically. I was struggling mentally. And I, all of a sudden, just started having really crippling anxiety. I haven't had crippling anxiety since panic attacks when I was 25. Before I got pregnant, I was on 2 medications, ADHD medication and anxiety medication, very low dose of anxiety medication. So, going to work, not still fully, recovered from COVID, pregnant, very, very fragile, very insecure about myself going into work. There would be days I would literally just feel horrible still, even though I was past the COVID. I think this probably was the most sick I have ever been in my whole life. And it was really a horrible experience and extremely traumatic for me. I know a lot of people go through a lot of health issues, but I haven't really had a lot of major illnesses. So I think this really triggered me. So my body was trying to, take care of my baby while also trying to recover from COVID, while also trying to get back into the routine of life. It was a lot, and I was super not okay. I know a lot of women have shared that they've struggled with anxiety in their pregnancies, and it is a very common issue. But it's also something that I feel like we don't talk about enough, because I even went to my OBGYN and I told her and asked her, is anxiety something that is common in pregnancy? And she was like, no, it really shouldn't be. It is, because your body is going through so much. Your mind is going through so many changes. You're going through hormonal changes. So please know that if you are with or without an illness on top of being pregnancy, it is not abnormal for you to feel anxious, because our brains, like I said, are going through so much. Our bodies are going through so much. And I do believe that Satan does attack pregnant women heavily, because we are carrying life. And as a Christian woman, he does not want me to enjoy my pregnancy. He doesn't want me to be excited about a baby. And so there's been many times, especially in that time of really struggling with my anxiety, that I had to literally go down on my knees and give God the struggles, because there's nothing I could do. And it was a very scary time, friends, very, very scary. I remember sitting in the bathroom after trying to go to church. Even just going to church was causing a lot of anxiety for me. And I was crying my eyes out. My mascara was running like crazy. And my husband walks in, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know who I am right now. I don't know if, I really don't know what to do. I don't know if I need help. Actually, I need help. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to try to cut it short, because there's a lot of things for sure. But I ended up having to go to my OBGYN for an appointment to really verbalize and communicate that I was not okay, in the sense that I needed some help. And I was having a panic attack at that moment. My heart rate was really high and elevated. And I was given a prescription for an anxiety medication. And I don't know if, you take a medication if you struggle with anxiety. But ever since I have started on this journey with this medication, my body, mind you, it was hard at first because I had to adjust to it. So it was really challenging in the beginning. Some of the side effects, but as soon as my body got used to the medication, I've been doing a lot better. I haven't had anxiety or a panic attack actually in a couple months. But it's not just the medication. I do believe the Lord has really taken me from a really hopeless and dark place that I thought I was stuck in. My husband also even came to the point where he was worried and concerned that I wasn't going to be a fit mother. And it was out of love. It wasn't out of disgust. But I also felt the same way. I was freaking out that if I couldn't even take care of myself, how am I supposed to take care of a child? A very innocent life that's dependent on me. So it was a very very tough part of my pregnancy, probably the hardest part of my pregnancy, harder than even right now, because I'm at that point right now where I'm experiencing the Braxton Hicks. I'm experiencing pain. I'm experiencing, just a lot of discomfort, but like this was nothing compared, this currently, the pains I'm going through is nothing compared to how I was feeling when I was struggling with the anxiety. So if you are struggling with anxiety, if you are pregnant and you're listening, just know you're not alone, but also you need to cover yourself with community. You need to surround yourself with people who will support you and encourage you, whether that be a spouse, family members. You also really need to pray up, because Satan does not like you. He hates you. He wants nothing to do with you being pregnant and carrying on life that could potentially bring others to Christ. He wants you to suffer. He wants you to want to give up. And just knowing that you have to protect yourself even more, I think, when you're pregnant, with the word, with worship music, with praise, with thankfulness, with community. Don't stop going to church, guys. Listen, I stopped going to church for a while. That didn't really help my soul, because I was struggling with anxiety really bad, and I just really felt like I couldn't go. But that was also Satan keeping me from going to church, because he knew I needed to be there in community. So with all of that being said, the Lord has really brought me far. I don't really look at my body as like, a project. I need to constantly control it. Now I do have my days, but God has just been so faithful, and he never fails. And when you feel like you are at your end, you guys, I was having harmful thoughts, like not suicidal, but just like, I'm unworthy. Why would God choose me to be this baby's mother? I can't even take care of myself. Like, those thoughts were very intrusive, and you need to find help, but also just realize that you're not going to be where you're at forever. There will be a breakthrough, but you have to give it to the Lord. You have to come to him and get on your knees. I'm going to end this episode with just something real quick. You are a child of God. And when you really let that sink in, especially, if you're pregnant, you are a child of God. He's not going to leave you. He's not going to abandon you. And he loves that baby inside of you more than you ever will. And which is really crazy to think about. But if you're not pregnant and you're listening and you're struggling with something, maybe just started, or maybe it's a lifelong thing that you've struggled with, you are a child of God. Give it to him. He wants to take care of you. There's a reason why we need God. It's because we need him. We cannot do this on our own strength. I don't know how people do it without him. I really don't. Especially when you're pregnant. You're so vulnerable, you guys, when you're pregnant, and just everything is changing. And so I hope this encouraged you. I know it was a lot, but I really felt like the Holy Spirit was nudging me to share my heart. And hopefully the next time, which most likely the next time you hear from me, I will have a baby, because I don't really do these episodes as much as I want to. But I was just really inspired tonight to share my heart with you guys. So I hope that you find me on social media, and I'd love to hear from you. And have a blessed day or blessed night, whatever time of day you're listening to this, or wherever you are in the world. And God bless you. Bye-bye.